Okay, so we're going to work on shape number two. We started a little bit yesterday. I'm going to show you a different way of getting shape number two done. So I'm back in my folder. I know I'm in my folder for basic shapes. I'm going to create a new document. I'm going to call this document shape two. So we're going to get shape two. Okay. Now this one I'm going to do from the end out is what we're going to do for this one. So when we look at this shape, if you look at this, um, you can see here, and this is going to make sense here in just a second. So I've got it's a ½ inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2.5 inches. So it's 2.5 inches is what I'm doing. And it's going to be 3 inches tall. So I go ½ inch, 1 inch, 1.5, uh, ½ inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, 2.5 inch, 3 inches. So 3 inches tall. Now, one thing you'll notice here is there's a circle here. Now, this circle I've given you, this is half of the circle. So if we count this down, so if we count this, so this is 1/2 of this circle, or 1/4 of the circle, if you will, because the circle is going to go all the way around. If we go down here, I can figure out this circle is 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inches. So this quarter of a circle is 2 inches, which would mean that my circle is 4 inch in diameter. Okay, so now that's going to be very important when we're putting this together. So we go back into Onshape. And I'm going to go on my front plane again. So I'm going to hide my top and my right. I'm going to go to my front plane. I'm going to add a sketch. I'm going to push the N key to turn it so it's where it needs to be. I'm going to put my rectangle right at the point of origin. First, I'm going to make sure I do my units. Make sure my units, workspace units. Oh, see, I almost got caught. Make sure my workspace units are in inches. And now I'm going to go back into my sketch, and I'm going to add my rectangle right here. Okay. And I'm going to dimension out this rectangle. So I'm going to get my dimensions. The length of this is going to be 2.5. The height of it here is going to be 3 inches. Okay. So there's my 3 by 2.5. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a circle, and I'm going to add my circle right at this point, right here at this top corner. So I'm going to add my circle right here at the top point. So I'm going to add my circle here. I'm going to drag it out, and then I'm going to dimension out this circle. So again, I'm going to do my dimension tool, and I'm going to dimension this circle. So, and I'm just going to click in here, this circle, we need to make it 4 inches. So when we make that 4 inches, what you're going to notice is it's going to create the circle. So when I'm done, I'm going to finish the sketch. So now I've got my two pieces here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an extrusion. So I'm going to hit the extrude button, and I'm going to extrude. I'm going to click this face so I extrude it. Now what you notice, you see I didn't pick the circle because I didn't want to select the circle. If I wanted to, I could select the circle as well, and it would extrude out that part of it as well. So if I wanted more, I could click on this and it would extrude that part of the circle out. I'm going to unclick that because I don't want to extrude that out. So that is how we're going to cut that out nice and neat. We're going to drag this the full length, which is actually 5 inches. So I'm going to make it 5 inches right here. So I'm going to make this 5 inches. And I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to finish this extrusion. So now I have got my basic shape. So now I can hide this front part here, and I can look at my model here. So I can look at exactly where my model is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the back of it. So I'm going to rotate this around. So I get this, I'm going to get to the right side so I can see the right side. And I'm going to cut the back of it out. So if I go back to this picture here, I can see that it's going to come down ½ inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inches. And I've got an inch on either side. So it's a 5 inch. That means this is going to be 3 inches because I have an inch here and an inch here. This is 5 inches total length. So I'm going to come down ½ inch, 1 inch, 2 inches. So it's going to be a 2 inch by 3 inch rectangle on the back of it. So I'm going to come back into here. I'm going to add a sketch. Oh, I don't want to add an extrusion. I'm sorry. I'm going to add a sketch on the back. Put my rectangle. Make sure I connect it on the top so I know that it's joined with everything. I'm going to click right there, drag it out. I'm going to dimension this. So I know that this part here, my width has to be 3 inches. So this is going to be 3 inches. And I know that the distance down is going to be 2 inches. So there's my 2 inches. And I know from my diagram that I have an inch on either side, so I'm going to dimension from here to here is going to be 1 inch, which means that from here to here should also be 1 inch. And it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish that sketch. I'm going to extrude this through. So I'm going to push that through. I'm going to change my view just a little bit. Change the direction by clicking on the arrow. I'm going to make sure I hit remove on this, and I can either push it all the way through, or in my case, I'm just going to drag this so that it goes the full length of it. So it cuts everything out, and I hit the button, and there it is. So now I've got the back side of it. Okay, so now the last thing that we need to do is we're going to put the hole in the top. So I'm going to add a sketch right here to the top. I'm going to look at the top so I can see it. And if I go back to my drawing here, there it is. I've got it looks like it's a 1 inch square, and it's a ½ inch in and 1 inch from either side. That's easy. So I'm going to go back in. I'm going to add my rectangle, and I'm just going to kind of put it right in here. And I know the rectangle needs to be 1 inch by 1 inch, so I'm going to dimension this out. So it's going to be 1 inch, and this needs to be 1 inch. And then I'm going to measure from here to here. I'll get to that point. Is 1 inch. Or was it 0.5? I think it was 0.5. Let me look here again. Let me go back and look. Yes, ½ inch, that it's 1 inch from either side. Perfect. So then I know from, and I'm going to rotate my view just a little bit so I can see. So I'm going to go dimension then from here to that line. Get the line. There it is. That's going to be 1 inch. So then if I rotate my view around, I can do from here to here. Same thing. I can dimension from this line to this line. Should also be 1 inch. There it is, and it is. So I'm going to finish my sketch. I'm going to go back to the top of it, rotate just a little bit, do my extrusion. I'm going to extrude that one through, change the direction, make it into a remove. I'm going to pull it down so it goes all the way through. Checkbox, and there it is. I am done with shape number 2. So that's going to be it for shape number 2. So we're going to close this out when we're done, and we can go on to our next shape.